What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 181 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo and NetRush. And today, this is going to be fun, Kris. This is everyone's dream, how to build a seven-figure brand from scratch. And we are talking about that today with Michael Elliott, the CEO of EJM Media. What's up, Michael?
Not much. How you guys doing?
We're hanging in there.
Yeah, we are doing good. We're good.
Good to hear.
You're up there in Vancouver, Canada? Is that right?
Vancouver, Canada. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Actually, it's not bad weather right now, but it's been cold for the past month. Is it bad down there or no?
Well, today it's actually pretty nice. It's like in the mid 60s, but they're calling for a hefty snowstorm here in a couple days. We'll see.
That's life in the Midwest. You get
same here. 60, it snows here.
60 and then -10, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
On a roller coaster.
And a snowstorm to us is like 2 inches. So
right,
yeah. That's not too bad at all.
Yeah. See,
so it's a little different, but
yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're really excited to dive into this. Obviously, the topic is pretty wide ranging. We're how to build that seven-figure brand, but you know how to do it. So we're going to pick your brain about this and cover it. But before we do, we'd love to spend some time just sort of talking and learning more about your background, how you got started, what got you into e-commerce in the first place, what made you create your agency. You take it away. You can.
Cool.
You got the floor. What's your background like?
Yeah, so I got into e-commerce specifically, kind of signed on Amazon after I graduated high school. I was going to a music production school. That was kind of my dream, was to do music production, and then went to a school for that. Dropped out in like 2 months. Just lost my passion for it for some reason. And then I'd always wanted to create a business on my own. I just knew, the kind of the cliche, I didn't want to work a 9-to-5 kind of thing. Just started doing research, just starting a business and stuff, started getting hit with ads, Shopify, dropshipping, and then Amazon. Took a course on dropshipping and then took a course on Amazon, decided to go into that. And that's kind of how it started. I just started selling on Amazon. First time around, lost like $6,000-7,000. Just didn't have enough knowledge about it. It took me about 2-3 years until I started getting traction with like one of the products, and just kind of to continue to grow from there. In terms of the agency, I actually started on Fiverr as a freelancer, just like doing little gigs like mentoring or like 30-minute calls, product research and stuff like that. And ended up getting taken off of Fiverr because you know how they're like very strict about not going outside of their platform for whatever, taking payments, stuff like that. They ended up catching me doing that kind of thing. And I was doing like calls and stuff. So I kind of had to go outside, and then got shut down on Fiverr, and then just had to build it up again with my own website and stuff. So that's kind of how I started the agency. I just like put up a gig on Fiverr, got nothing on it for like a year, and I kind of forgot about it. And then it just started to take off and kind of began to build from there. Now that's more where my focus is at, is the agency. And we partner and kind of do equity-based partnerships with some of our clients now as well to build their brands up.
Okay, there's a lot that I want to dig into a little bit more of that.
yeah.
What year did you start your e-commerce business?
It was in 2019, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 2019. Yeah.
And you said you lost a couple $1,000s on your first product. What would be what was the mistake, or where did you lose that? Was it unexpected?
It was actually
a bad product.
It was like right off the bat. I'll say the product because I don't sell it, but it was a money gun, so it was like the fake cash and everything.
Yeah,
and it was doing well. There wasn't too much competition. It was fine. And then I listed it after buying the inventory, and so like I guess I didn't realize that it was against Amazon's terms of service. I'd already bought the inventory, and then I like tried so hard. I was like, is Amazon gonna let me do this? And they didn't, because there's other people doing it, but I'm like, as you guys know, sometimes they're a little bit more easy on the people who are making the money. And so I couldn't sell it, and I reached out to my supplier, and I was like, is there like any way we can do some sort of refund? Because I know there's other people looking at this product to buy, like someone will come and purchase this. And I actually ended up getting like a 30% refund from the supplier, which I thought was quite generous. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And what was the reason you couldn't do it? The reason I ask is Dustin and I did a series called I'm looking for products to sell, and Money Gun was one we looked at.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, and we didn't do it, but we just pulled up and we're like, oh, maybe we should do a Money Gun. But what was the reasoning? Did they ever give you like a definite answer?
Yeah, it was the counterfeit money. And then I was trying to do some research if you could like use real money. But I think it was like too thick or something for it to work. And then just selling that, like I could have just sold it on its own, but the kind of whole purpose was to have that bundled up. Most people are doing it bundled up. So I was like, I don't know if this is really gonna.
That's interesting. You learn something new every day about like restricted categories and all that. But I would have thought it was because of the gun, the word. Not because there's counterfeit. You couldn't do anything like make the money like smaller, or I guess
monopoly money or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw some people using monopoly money, but I think they were still saying like any type of like fake money that you can't use, even though there was lots of other people doing it. Might have just been like, I know it was like my first time ever selling something, so I know they're a little bit extra strict in the beginning, but yeah, that was pretty much it. I honestly probably could have like thought of it some way to sell it, like just do the Money Gun and maybe try to list the money separately. I don't know, but at the time I was just like panicking and I was like, I need my money back.
I can understand the feeling. For sure. Yeah, that can be a lot of money.
Fake money.
Exactly. A lot of fake money.
Well, so Michael, you said you went to your supplier. So what was the total units? How many units did you order?
500.
500. So you went to and you put what, 30% down?
Yeah, 30% down. And then once I got the inspection done and everything passed, I put the remaining 70 down. And then I just made the mistake of first of all, I should have just known and done my research, but I listed it, after already putting the 70% down. And so I'd already bought the product and everything. And then when I tried to list it, it was like, you can't sell this product. And I phoned them, emailed them and all that stuff. And like nothing budged. And so I just went back to the supplier and said, like, can I get some sort of refund? Because I know someone else is willing to buy this product. It was a product that was, doing well and there wasn't too much competition. So I ended up getting like 30%, just nagged her on for a couple of days.
Did you still have the products?
You say they never shipped it, or did you get it?
They never shipped it. So it wasn't out yet. I think I must have created the listing, like found out kind of like right before the shipping process happened. And then, I'm not sure if they ever sold it. I assume they would have, for sure. But I don't know how long it took for them to take it, but they held it in their warehouse.
Did you do any like custom packaging or custom logos on it and all that?
That's the thing. I had, I did. I had custom packaging. So that made it a little tougher to give back. Cause I was like, I know someone will come and buy this, but I also knew, I was like, okay, I did some customizations here. I believe the product might have even had a custom brand name on it. I forget what it was, but there was definitely custom packaging and stuff. Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah.
It's always fun to hear those stories. I know it's not fun to relive, but it's good for everybody out there. You can, some of the products aren't going to work, and they're going to work for reasons that you never even imagined. That's why you want to have more than one product a lot of times in the pipeline. So then you pivoted and you kept plowing along. So you immediately started researching a second product to launch?
Yeah. So I think it was about a year later. I actually sold a product with a buddy of mine, which didn't go too well. We were just at different stages. Like I had already gone through that failure. So I had a bit of not understanding. I failed quite miserably the first time, but like I knew what not to kind of do for some of the things. And we're at different stages in terms of our knowledge. And so the partnership between us was a little rough. It wasn't too bad, but like the product we ended up choosing actually did quite well in terms of sales. But again, just not kind of doing my due diligence in terms of looking at every aspect of the product. So the issue with this one was the margins were extremely slim. So we ended up just selling out and not reordering any. And this product was what was it? It was like a collapsible metal straw. Yeah. And so we did like we had custom brand naming and everything. And it was actually, it was selling pretty well, but just the margins were extremely slim.
Were you selling these? Were you in the Canadian marketplace or the US marketplace?
US. I've kind of always stuck US. Like sometimes we'll expand to Canadian marketplace, but that was US.
Gotcha.
And I'm just curious, just because, or just Canada was too much to get into? Like, what's the reasoning?
Mainly just because just the demand for this product and the kind of amount of money being made in US for the majority of products is always typically a little bit greater. So that was the main reason. We were doing our research in the US and just had more demand, is kind of making more money. And that was kind of the plan from the beginning, was to start in the US.
I like this space. I mentioned it before on a podcast, because like what Dustin's going to do is going to be different than what I do, and what you do is going to be different. And like, there's a lot of different people can do different strategies. So when you do product research, what was your criteria? What were you looking at? Like, search demand, is it reviews? What was that setup?
Yeah, it was kind of all that stuff. And I feel like this is a pretty common criteria. But it was, like I think we were looking at around 3,000-4,000 searches per month minimum. In terms of the average reviews, we were trying to aim for something closer to around like 100 average reviews. The way I think about it now is a little bit different, but we're looking around 100 average reviews, and then just not seasonal, small standard or large standard in terms of the tier, and that was pretty much it. And then of course just trying to find ways to improve upon the product itself. What can we do to stand out a little bit here, so that we can kind of compete against the other sellers? That was mainly it, like reviews, search volume, historical data in terms of the search volume, and then of course minimum revenue. We were looking at, I believe, around like 5,000 to 6,000 average on the first page per month, and then I kind of always make sure that like the top 10 sellers are doing an average of around 6 to 8 or 8 to 10,000 a month, just to make sure the depth of market is kind of there.
You mentioned dropshipping in Shopify. I know I've looked into that. I'm sure Dustin has too. It's super like crazy. You have to drive traffic to a website, and you got to run ads, and you got to make sure the product sells. And then you got like a 30-day lead time before it even gets here sometimes. So did you use any of that knowledge that you had for Shopify, like to help you with product research at all?
Not really, because it's pretty separate in terms of what products you can do well versus on Shopify. I think what I noticed a lot too was with Amazon, you have these lead times that are pretty long, especially right now. And if you choose a product that's trendy, by the time it gets to Amazon, it could possibly not even have many searches or much demand at that point. And versus Shopify, you kind of have that opportunity, since I'm sure once people scale their business, they'll order inventory, but the whole method of buying the inventory or buying the unit after someone purchases it gives you a little advantage of, choosing a trendy product. So I didn't really use much of the knowledge from kind of that Shopify course and bringing it over to Amazon, because I know the way that you kind of do research is a little bit different.
And during this whole time, were you doing your Fiverr gigs?
No, so I started doing so I'm not sure, because I had a Fiverr gig uploaded. I don't remember what year it was. It might have been around this time. I just had never pushed it. Like I never tried to get any initial reviews on it on my gigs, and so I kind of forgot about it. It took me about a year to get my first order on Fiverr, because I just forgot I even uploaded it, and then it happened and it started kind of taking off. But at that time, no, it was just doing those collapsible straws. Ended up selling out, and then after that, I believe I went to school for digital marketing, and school, I wasn't a fan of school. I knew I just didn't want to do that. I dropped out of this other college, BCIT, which is in Vancouver, after another 2 months as well. So I dropped out of a couple of schools, but I ended up wanting to do digital marketing. So funny story, EJM Media was actually meant for a digital marketing agency. That's why it's called EJM Media. rather than having some sort of Zon kind of thing in there.
Sure.
But yeah, I ended up taking a course on digital marketing because that's what I wanted to start. I was like, okay, Amazon, you know, I not that I lost hope in it, but I was like, okay, I want to try something else here. And then that's when I believe I started kind of getting my first orders on Fiverr. I bought this course for digital marketing. I set up my corporation as EJM Media. And then, yeah, I got some orders on Fiverr and it started taking off. And I was like, okay, damn, maybe I'll just roll with this. And I just ditched the whole digital marketing thing and kind of expanded the agency from there.
And what were you doing? I know we talked about it before we started this, but what were you what was your gigs consisting of? Like, what was where were you helping people at on the gigs?
Yeah. So my main two were product research and mentoring. So I would do like 30-minute calls, and then I would have a couple options that were like 30 days of mentoring. So those were kind of my main gigs. Was the product research and the mentoring stuff.
Nice. So people would come to you like would they come to you with a product idea and you would validate it, or they just come to you and say, here's my criteria, go find me something?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So like if someone came to me with a product idea, I would usually just check it out really quickly and let them know if I thought it was good or not. And then most of the orders were, they come to me like, I want you to choose a product for me based off of this criteria, based off of whatever criteria you think is fit, and then deliver them the product.
Looking back on what you've done in the product research area, starting like, let's say you had to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
What would you do differently with the product research method than you did in the past?
I would say I've always stayed pretty consistent with it, but I think the number one thing I've realized is actually the one thing I've changed a bit is the average reviews. Now this can be a little bit dependent, of course, on someone's budget and how competitive you want to go with a product. But if you can truly improve upon a product and you have the budget to kind of get to that first page and be seen, I think you don't have to worry too much about, you just have to worry about reviews. But like I was very strict with how I looked at the start. I was like 100 to 200 max, down more like 500 to 1,000, while always making sure that this product I can improve upon, or if it makes sense to add some sort of kind of bonus item. I'd say that's the biggest thing, because I might come across a product, but I'll just, you know, skip it right away if I see that doesn't really make sense to add a bonus to it, or if there's not any way you can really improve upon it, then I typically stay away from it.
Agree. I think we all agree on the review thing. It used to be like that was the thing, like less than 200 reviews. Now it's kind of spread up. And we had another guy on the show, and he talked about a path to profitability.
Yeah,
that's like something that just stuck with me. Is like if the product has a path to profitability, then you can continue with it. But after a couple of orders, if it just sucks, then you have to move on and get out of it.
And I think that, it's probably kind of just the reality now is like you're not typically going to find a good product that only has like 100 average reviews. I'm sure you can still come across them, but it's pretty rare now. It's just gotten a little bit more competitive.
Or go to different marketplaces and check that out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure. Like, are you seeing demand pick up a little bit there in the Canadian marketplace?
Yeah, I have a couple of clients who also sell in the Canadian marketplace, and there's actually a product that is doing more sales in Canada versus US now. And it's weird because the product in the US still has much more demand, and the competition isn't too crazy, but it's taken off a little bit more in Canada.
Is it like a winter item or what?
No, it's not even a seasonal product. I haven't looked. I gotta inspect a little bit more and figure out maybe why, but it's not a seasonal item. It's pretty consistent in terms of search volume, and there's ultimately all the data is kind of boosted up in the US still in terms of the demand and everything. So it's interesting that, you know, it's selling a little bit better. I think that the main reason is probably just, although it's not too competitive in the US, this product, it's there's still quite a few sellers, and he has a pretty good listing and everything. So he might just be standing out a little bit more in the Canadian marketplace.
Maybe he's prime and some other people are or something.
Yeah.
Could be that.
Yeah. So let's talk about you're talking about working with clients. So now this is you've got your agency that you're running now. What are you offering to your clients, and like who is your ideal client for your agency?
Yeah. So I've been altering it a little bit and updating what we're doing and still testing out different kind of services and packages. As of now, I started more with the mentoring, like I said, on Fiverr, and then I brought that into when I started the agency too. That was kind of the main focus. Then I expanded into building Amazon businesses from scratch. I kind of have a team of like just like freelancers who I've worked with for the past couple of years, who I kind of call my team now. And the main focus is building Amazon businesses from scratch. Now, what I've realized is it's a bit better for us to work with investors who have, a decent amount of money, because for us to build it, plus all the costs for inventory, PPC and everything, it can be quite a bit of money. So I'd say our ideal kind of customers now are investors. And then on the other side of things, people who are looking to sell on Amazon, kind of with that, lesser of a budget, we will mentor them and kind of show them the ropes from start to finish.
This seems like a growing offering. We've had someone else on the show that talked about like a hands-off approach for like investors. Like come to us with 30K,
exactly,
and we'll do everything, and we'll just take a small percentage or something.
Yeah, and so that's what we're starting to introduce a little bit now, as an equity-based kind of partnership for some people, because for us to do a full setup per product, that can start to get real pricey for people, and they if you're really invested in me building this brand, why don't you be a part of it, and that should motivate you to build it with us, and you can have some equity in it. So that's something we're starting to do a little bit now as well, just because, like I said, doing a full setup for one client for every single product doesn't really make sense. It's just really eating into their margins if we just continue to do that. And so, yeah, doing a little equity-based thing here now, with certain clients, mostly only like the investors who have the capital to put in. And yeah, exactly right. Like they'll come, it depends. Like some person might come with like 30, other people want to start off with like 100, 200,000 to put in. So it really ranges. But what I did notice is when I had it in the beginning, when I was doing this with some people whose budget was a little bit less. And what I began to discover was this isn't really best for them. It's making it a bit harder for them to scale. They're getting everything right the first time as a result of us doing it. But along with our fee, along with them investing in the inventory and everything, it doesn't give them a whole lot of room to scale. And so I realized like I gotta, switch that up and work with people who have a pretty big budget for this to work, and focus more on the mentoring for people who have, a bit of a lesser budget.
Yeah, have some capital to play with, because you got to invest in inventory, advertising, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Are you picking like the niche, or do they come to you and say, "Hey, I want to be in home and garden. That's the brand I want to be in," or do they even care really?
Some people care, some people don't. What I typically tell them is like, you can come to us and tell us, hey, stick with these, 3 niches and do some research in this, and we'll do that. But if they only give us like one and we don't happen to find a product that we think is worth it to sell, then we'll say, hey, like we got to switch it up here and look in some other category. Because as I'm sure you guys know, it's just completely data-driven decision. So we just try to make that very clear that you have to go in a lot of the times not really caring too much about what you sell. Like, we'll look, and then it's dependent on their budget too, right? We can go after much more competitive products for some people if they have the budget, which gives them a little more freedom in terms of what category or what product they want to choose. So it kind of varies from client to client, but typically I try to say like, we want to choose the best product in terms of its data. So be a little bit open-minded.
And is the idea to flip these brands like in 2 years?
No, I would say this is more long-term, like even 4 or 5 years. I'm sure with some, it might be a little quicker, but yeah, I would say 4 or 5 years plus.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's walk through this then. Let's hear the process of going from basically scratch being a capital investment, to growing a 7-figure brand. So if you get a new client, they're ready to go. Product research, that I'm assuming that's number one. That's where you start.
Yeah.
What does that process look like?
So product research, we're typically using I always use Helium 10 now. I've just noticed Helium 10 is quite a bit more accurate than Jungle Scout now. I like Helium 10. and then so yeah, we just start with that. Take 2 to 4 weeks to do research, and we basically just put together a whole sheet in terms of the data, margins, what it's going to cost to launch, potential forecasts once you launch after 3 to 4 months, just to see where's the trajectory. And once we kind of have a product, they're in the loop. We have a whole group put together, so we're updating them on the process where we're at. We typically research 4 to 5 different products to give some options, and see what they like best. And then of course, making sure that the data looks good. Once we kind of come across the one we want to go with, then, just going on to the supplier stage after we've thought about, while we're doing the supplier stage, thinking about ways how we can improve upon this product. And yeah, just reaching out to multiple suppliers, like 20, 30, 40 suppliers, negotiating with them, really just the whole process of anyone who's setting up an Amazon business. Ordering samples from, our typically top 3 to 5 suppliers that we see best in terms of lead time, communication, pricing, and we order that to our studio and just check it out. And then, yeah, finalize with a supplier, put in the 30% deposit for them to get going with it. While we're doing this supplier phase, kind of getting started on the branding. So having a discussion with them if they don't already have a brand name in mind, depending on the category that we're signing, we'll toss out some brand name ideas, make sure, it's not taken and we can trademark it to get brand registered. And then get the inspection agency to come in, inspect all the goods. It passes, cool. Remaining 70% in, and then just waiting for the shipping, which has been crazy. From China to an Amazon warehouse. And then we have a bit of an option. Now, of course, while we're waiting for the shipping, getting the listing, the photography, if we suggest when we're doing the full setup, they get brand registered, so the videography and everything as well. Now, once we get to Amazon, typically with this, and Amazon, I'm sure you guys know this, but is a lot more strict about doing kind of giveaways and the whole, that whole thing. And so we still do that with a lot of clients, and we see that it works. I've focused a little bit more on PPC launches solely. I don't personally do the PPC launches. I've had someone do that, kind of a team of PPC managers to handle that stuff. And so we started more solely with PPC launches, and they're fine. Again, it really depends on the person's budget too and the product, of course. But started doing a bit of the kind of giveaway method again, and it does work because you can basically see the data of what keyword you want to go after and pretty much guarantee that, okay, we're going to get to this position on page 1 for this exact keyword or keywords. And so that's typically how we do the launch. And then what we're doing right now is we're with them for the full setup. So we do everything, product research, right? Packaging, photography, supply outreach, everything to set up the business. And then we manage the overall account for 2 months. So after the launch, and then we just manage the overall account PPC for 2 months. And then after that, we discuss, okay, do you want us to kind of mentor you and show you how to go about it on your own? Or, we'll continue to just to manage your overall accounts, or solely just manage your PPC. So there's a lot of different options they have, because we're like a full service agency, so we can do kind of anything for them that they want. Now, like I mentioned, we're kind of shifting and trying out the equity-based thing here. So I think that will start to be the kind of the main thing that we start to do, as opposed to launching a product. Then they're like, let's launch another. And it's like the cost to launch again. Rather than doing that, we'll just continue to manage on and take equity in the business and then build it from there, and just charge them a monthly fee to kind of cover our costs for launching every single product. But yeah, that's where we're kind of where we're at right now. There's a few different options to continue on. If they want to do it themselves, cool, we'll show them how. And then they always have access to me, like even after we're done, of course, because if they have any questions, they can come to me and see what they need to do.
The higher ticket is definitely a good avenue. I think that's the right path there. Get some better clientele and people that have a little bit more cash to play around with. On the giveaway launch, just some clarity there. Is it just like 99% off coupons you're giving out, or is it inside of Amazon you're doing? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah. So we'll do Facebook ads, and we'll set up a landing page outside of Amazon with ManyChat bot, and just kind of giving them instructions of, okay, go on Amazon, search up the keyword that we're wanting to rank for, add a competitor's product to cart, and then take it out, add ours. So play around with like on the listing a bit, spend some time just to kind of have even a bigger effect on that Amazon's algorithm. And then we're going to refund them via PayPal. And we typically do this over the course of 30 days or so. And yeah, Amazon has, they put out that newsletter a couple weeks ago, or like a month ago, about how they're basically saying no more. But it's pretty tough unless it's like, unless we're like doing a crazy amount of giveaways, and we'll max out, like we'll try to never ever do more than 300. Cause if it looks really suspicious, obviously like a bunch of sales coming in right away, that can be a red flag for Amazon for sure. So just watching that, and then the other stuff, like we're refunding them outside of Amazon. And it's pretty safe. I would say that we do it. If we thought there's any issues, we wouldn't do it. We haven't had any issues. But that's kind of how that works. So Facebook ads takes them to a landing page, tells them what to do on Amazon. Then we do refund via PayPal.
Got it. So that ManyChat sequence must be really in depth, with all those moving parts.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at like this technical stuff and all the back end stuff. So I have a team to kind of set that up. I've never been too good at the whole back end and technical side of things when it comes to ManyChat and kind of all that stuff. But I have a team to focus on that who's better suited than I am for that kind of thing.
Well, you should. It's so complex. There's a lot there's a lot to do inside that tool.
A lot of ways to mess it up too.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
I know that stuff's crazy. It's like a science. There's so many parts to it. It's like, geez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amazon did do, they cracked down pretty hard on giveaways and rebates and all that, but it was only when you were, through Amazon's API, like checking to see if order, outside. I mean, I don't know how they could ever fully police that. And it's just, I mean, that's the way a lot of products are marketed anyway.
I think unless you're like not really capping the amount of giveaways you're doing, you do like, like I said, we kind of cap around 300. Sometimes we go a little over, but if they see a bunch of massive volume of sales in the beginning, they might be like, hey, like you got 3 reviews. How is this even happening?
Yeah.
Are you running any external ads like Facebook? I mean, you said Facebook, but like Google ads to the listing at all?
No. So down the road, we'll have a discussion on doing that. But in the beginning, it's more focused on just solely PPC. And then I like to before checking out Google ads and Facebook ads, because the Facebook ads are just for the giveaway, so we turn those off afterwards. But influencer marketing is pretty underrated. I think if you find the right influencer, that can be a really long-term kind of partnership that you have with them, and they can do a lot of sales for your product and your business overall. So I like influencer marketing, especially TikTok. Just the amount of reach you can get still is unreal. So influencer marketing, and then down the line discussions about maybe trying Facebook and Google ads again, and then also building up their brand externally. So them starting their own social pages, right? Like Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, just to start exposing their brand externally. Because that's the most important thing at the end of the day, is building up the brand. That's where the value is going to be in the long term, I think. So we'll do stuff like that just to build their presence externally as well.
Yeah, that's definitely the shiny object this year, even a little bit last year. Last year is the influencer marketing. That's definitely a service people will pay for.
Yeah.
And it's powerful.
Yeah,
really powerful. It's the best marketing. I mean, look at TikTok right now. Like, bought it on Amazon, and
there's so many of those
unboxing videos and all the stuff they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of pages. There's a lot of pages on TikTok that are literally, Amazon products. Like that could be their username, and that's just like accounts that have millions of followers of just opening different products and stuff that are interesting. So that stuff's so valuable for sure.
So when you're in the initial stages of product research, working with a new client, are there categories that you absolutely avoid, or is there a favorite category, or how does that look in terms of that research?
Yeah, I would say what I've noticed, and I'd say this is probably one of my favorite categories, but home and kitchen is just so great because they always have so many products, and I think it's a great overall niche to get into because you can really expand and there's new products being developed quite often. So I think home and kitchen is really great. It's probably one of the most popular, maybe one of the most competitive ones as well. But there's just so many things you can go after and new things that are coming about. And then like gated categories, we typically do stay away from. But if someone was like, "Hey, let's do a product, like I want to start a beauty brand," I would say, "Sure, we'll check it out. If we can find anything that's worth it." And just thinking about the long term too, making sure that, okay, are we going to be able to build this up? We will think about that, but typically we just kind of steer away from any gated categories or anything that might cause more issues. But again, with the people who do, if they have a lot of capital, we'll be a little bit more lenient in terms of what we're looking at. But the categories like we're looking at are, and I'd say it's pretty common for the other sellers too, but like home and kitchen dining, sports and outdoors, pet supplies, baby. Yeah, those are kind of I would say those are kind of our top ones. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
What do you guys think in terms of categories? Do you guys have like specific ones that you kind of stick with or stay away from? Or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like repeat purchase. That's where I've kind of positioned myself now, is like, if the product is something that people are going to buy over and over again, or they have to buy more than one of it.
Yeah.
That's like, green light.
Yeah.
Almost like it's just something you could spend a little bit more on advertising to acquire that customer, and then they come back and buy it again. It's a lifetime value. So that's kind of where I go. So that's when I'm doing product research, I'll look for that niche only, and it has to answer that question. Like, is this going to be a product they buy again and again and again, or do they buy multiples at a time, like 1, 2, 3, 4?
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that is a definite play right now, is those repeat purchases. In terms of mine, I can echo a lot what you're talking about. Like, I'm moving more into like the home goods, home and kitchen, for a couple reasons. Number one, you can differentiate anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, that's what makes that category so nice, is when you do a keyword search, a lot of times you get a whole variety of different products. You're not getting a whole bunch of Me Too products. Like if you typed in jump rope, you see 9,000 jump ropes and they're all the same. And so that's a category that allows for differentiation a lot. It allows for like a higher price point, value, value adds. There's a lot of things in there that are good. On that, so sort of on that note, at what point would you kill a product? If you got a product and you're launching it, you're running it, I guess if it's the one product, you might just stick it out. Maybe it's, if you had a strategy of launching multiple products at the same time, it might be, but when have you killed a product, or would you, at what point, kill a product?
So really we've killed a couple products, not necessarily because I thought they were not doing well, but a lot of people, and I think this is on us to make it very clear, but one product typically, there's a chance, but one product's typically not going to go crazy unless it's just like a product that is like insane and somehow it's insane traction and stuff like that. But it takes a few products to really start building up the brand and building that long-term business. But I would probably say if we start to see just our return on PPC is not really doing too much better and not getting better over time, I would probably start to just like be aware that, okay, this doesn't seem to be getting any better. We might want to just kind of take our losses here and kill the product. But I would say with most of the products recently, it's been fine. We haven't killed any. The only products we've ever killed is because clients might end up saying, I don't have the money to continue on. Might only be 2 or 3 months in, and it's tough sometimes. They're like, this isn't obviously working. I'm like, you got one product, it's 2 to 3 months. It's a long process, especially with the whole, lead time and everything. So it seems like it's been so long and you're not doing crazy numbers. So that's been like one of the reasons, I would say a year ago or so, we had some people do that. And that was kind of when we weren't targeting more or focusing more on the bigger investors. So they would hit that turning point pretty quickly in terms of like wanting to like kind of give up. But yeah, in terms of if we're going to kill a product, I would just say if we're not seeing traction after, I would even say up to like 6 months to a year, like not right away. I do want to test it because we've had products that after 6 months or 7 months started seeing some traction, or you just had to kind of build it externally, maybe with influencer marketing, and you kind of start seeing a boost in sales and then some consistency there. Otherwise, yeah, if I see that the PPC is just performing pretty bad and it's not improving at all, then I would say that's one of the kind of signs there.
Do you do anything with product inserts? Like, do you add any kind of special packaging inserts inside?
Yeah, we always do custom packaging, and then just doing insert cards, just kind of asking for, reviews, not positive or anything, being careful with the wording there. But yeah, adding, a review card in there, and then we'll even add QR codes sometimes for ebooks if we want to add that as a bonus for a product. Whether it's like a kitchen product, like 10 recipes, whatever, they can scan it, QR code. And then it can be risky sometimes, doing this. It's not really like we've never had an issue, but I never want to say like do this for sure. But like, yeah, having like asking for feedback, honest feedback, and links to external website if we have it, stuff like that.
Yeah. So that the insert card it's to get reviews, but it's also maybe to collect the customer information for.
Yeah. Because if we can begin to build a bit of a email list outside of Amazon. Obviously, you can't do that in Amazon. That'll be super valuable for the long term. Just when we're launching new products, we can say, hey, we've got this new stuff on here. We have these, past customers who've already purchased the first product, and it slowly builds up that brand trust as we continue to launch more products. And we staying consistent. Like, I don't like to sell random products. Like, I want to stay consistent within whatever category it is that the person's selling in, so they can kind of get recognized as a brand in that category. And so that's super valuable, is building up, a list of customers outside of Amazon, because I think eventually you kind of have to have a presence outside, or else, you're still always going to be in control of Amazon, which is kind of risky.
Yeah, risky, scary. You can't sleep at night, all the above.
Yeah.
No doubt. What so do you always start usually with one product at a time when you're launching?
Not necessarily. If someone has the budget to do multiple products, and they're like, we had someone pretty recently want to launch in the baby category, and they wanted to start with like 10 products. I was like, that might be tough to find 10 pretty decent products right off the bat, but we decided to do 5, and his budget is strong enough where he can kind of do that right away. And we're confident enough where we know we're not going to necessarily make any mistakes, and then these 5 products are going to be dead. So we'll start with 1 if someone that's what the budget they have is for 1 product. But if someone has the budget for multiple products and they want to do that, we'll do that. Because I'm sure, as you guys know too, with Amazon, you do notice like it scales kind of exponentially as opposed to linear. Like, it's you add 1 product, and then a second, I'd be doing 5K a month or something, and then you might think 10K, but oftentimes it scales quite quickly as you begin to add more. So I do like to start with multiple products, so you can start seeing some pretty good traction results much quicker, as opposed to starting with 1, especially with the amount of time it takes lately to get 1 on there.
Yeah, when you do that, are you getting like small quantity, like 100, 200, 300, or like testing it out first, or buying it from your competitor and creating your own list? Like, is there something you do before going all in?
No, so we typically start with, if we do our product research and everything, we we don't really track it for too long. If we see it's consistent over the past year since it started selling, we'll start with the amount of doing like 1,000 units sometimes and going with the giveaways. Usually not for every single product. Some will do like just a solo PPC launch and then giveaways for some, but we don't start with like 100 and test it out. We kind of look at the data in terms of the research, and if they have the budget to get it going, we just kind of go in.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I feel like we could obviously talk about this all day long. There's so many things so many rabbit holes that we could go down.
Yeah.
But before we wrap it up, do you want to if there's somebody who's listening right now, this is this position they're in, they're thinking about getting started selling on Amazon or whatever, they need help, they need consulting, how do they get in touch with you and how can they start working with you?
Yeah. If you go to ejmmedia.com, you can claim a free consultation there, and it'll just basically take you to a questionnaire page, just kind of asking some questions about, what's your capital, how committed are you to this, just a few different questions just to see where they're at, and if if this is something that's really important to them long term. Hop on a call, discuss with each other where they're at in terms of budget, how many do they want to launch. Main thing I would say is like, for the full setup kind of thing, we're typically working with people. We kind of require them to have a minimum of 15, I would say even $20,000 to $30,000 minimum to put in, all in, us, inventory, advertising, everything. So if you're looking for a way to kind of diversify your portfolio, I think Amazon's a good way to look at as an investment. I don't think a lot of people do, but it is a great investment to make long-term and build up an asset over time that you can have down the road. So yeah, ejmmedia.com, you'll see a button. You can book a call and do that. And we have guarantees in place too, because not when you guys asked about testing and stuff, and we don't test it out. We have like a $5,000 and within your first 60 days, guaranteeing their position in terms of what we're ranking for, or we give their money back and everything. So we have guarantees in place to make sure that we're not just launching a bunch of products and then you don't really know what's going on.
That's nice to have.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah.
Huh. All right, everybody. EJMmedia.com. Go check it out. Fill out the questionnaire. Get your first free consulting call. Michael, thanks so much for joining us. We'll have you back on again in the future to talk about all the new shiny objects that appear every day in the e-commerce space. So
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Really appreciate it. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you like to hear content like this, please make sure you're subscribing to the podcast and also following Solozo's social channels where you can see the live streams that we do for every episode. Also, if you're currently selling on Amazon right now and struggling with advertising or need help with advertising or would like to take that load off of your plate, go to solozo.com. You can book a demo. Kris or I will be on that call with you, and we can talk about how Solozo can help optimize your advertising for you. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Michael, thanks for joining us. We'll see you.